Have you recently gone through a spiritual awakening, or perhaps you're going through a whole new identity crisis? Or maybe you're just not motivated to do anything. You might be going through the dark night of the soul, and today in this video I'm going to be going over 4 signs that you are going through a dark night of the soul based on this big spiritual awakening or awakenings that you have experienced. I'm really excited to go through this video, as I know a lot of people go through multiple dark nights of the soul and don't really understand why we're going through these experiences and the initiations that are happening through this cave that we're really in, through this darkness that we're in. And it can feel really daunting. It almost feels like, am I gonna make it? And I'm here to share with you, you will, as soon as you know exactly what's going through and exactly what you're going through in this video. I'm sure it will support you. So before we get into the video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, put notification bell so you do not miss a video. And if you feel called to go deeper into support for your dark night of the soul through your spiritual awakening, I highly suggest you for applying for the one-on-ones down below, the retreats, as well as courses. We have all courses based on throat chakra, sacral chakra, Reiki courses, so many different courses that can support you on your spiritual awakening. So all of that will be linked down below. Okay, let's get into the 4 signs that you are going through a dark night of the soul and really what you're experiencing. So the first sign is that everything is having a tower moment. This is usually the first stage of the dark night of the soul. Essentially what this means is everything in your life is completely changing. You might have been let go from your job, or you're leaving your job due to health issues. You know, maybe you find out from some news about a health thing that happened, or some kind of health disease or certain manifestation that has happened, and for that you've had to go part-time, or maybe you have to completely leave your job. Another thing that can happen as well is maybe you're ending a relationship and moving through divorce, or you know, maybe going through a really big shift of yourself and your identity, and your whole being is shifting. You're going through a big expansion with your third eye, which means that you're going through a lot of dreams. You're starting to notice the programming of our world, and it feels overwhelming. So it's almost like this feeling that everything that I learned in my life is essentially whatever isn't a truth is a lie. And you're starting to see that all the things that are not truth are so hard to not miss anymore. And that's what brings us to the dark night of the soul. It makes us to think, how can we trust what's true and what's not? And the process of this initiation of the dark night of the soul is to actually find that out through this big awakening that you're going through this big initiation, is for you, through the void that you're currently going through, you are going to discover what this earth, what this heaven and earth, what this new earth, this shifting, this energy, this life is all about. And sometimes during that time, we have to have triggers, traumas, perhaps old memories or old relationships come into our life to shake things up, for us to let that go so we don't have to hold that anymore. So there's a lot of, I guess you can say, like, you know, misconceptions. The dark night of the soul is considered this, you know, victim of the tower moment, victim of everything that is coming down, but actually it's creating a new space for a new structure to be created based on what your soul has written down for it to go through. And this is one of the biggest things that I see with a lot of people, is not to be a victim of your dark night of the soul, not to be a victim of everything that is ending, because merely these endings that you're experiencing is because they don't fulfill you anymore. And, you know, we want to make sure and have control of how we can let go of these things. And we want to make sure we wait till the job comes in and the partner comes in for us to transition. But, you know, sometimes when we're in those voids and these dark night of the souls, we can actually start to create what we actually want, because there's no attachment to anything. So the biggest thing is the power that you have through this initiation, even though, you know, you might be physically purging or energetically purging or extremely emotional, or maybe not motivated to do anything. This is all your tower moment. So a great prompt that I would really suggest you writing down is, what is the tower moments or the tower experiences I'm having in my life? When I mean tower, if you know tarot, tower card essentially means that, you know, old foundations are crumbling down. You know, we're having a little bit of chaos, an earthquake, and for that, this is actually a good thing that this is happening, because it's making room for truth and your divinity to step forward. The fourth sign that you're going through a dark night of the soul is you're feeling really isolated. Maybe you're feeling like you cannot connect with the relationships you've had, friends, family, coworkers, or maybe you just find it really hard to be social. Because you're going through so much energetic upgrades, your light body is expanding so much, it almost feels hard to even relate to those people. You might have even experienced through this dark night of the soul that certain relationships have been held or, created through our traumas, through our shadows. And because this dark night of the soul is asking you to let that go, you no longer resonate with these relationships. So it's very common for people that go through the dark night of the soul to maybe go through this whole experience where all the friends, they just cut off, right? Or they isolate themselves and they don't connect with other people, or they go through a process of deep inner reflection. They're integrating all the tower moments they've experienced. Now, one little caveat that I will like to share with you guys is that when you are in this space of isolation, to be mindful of how we can sometimes get addicted to the dark night of the soul. We can get addicted to the healing, getting addicted to the cycle. So, even if it means getting outside in your backyard and sun gazing, this will really allow you to charge and put in some prana when the sun is down or the sun is rising to support you. Another great tip is rooting and grounding with the earth, which is a very common tip, but specifically for the dark night of the soul, because it is really connected to earth energy. It's connected to our body. It's connected to our being. Grounding yourself will really support you, putting your feet on the earth, and simply just bringing yourself back to a space of grounding. And the last tip I can give you if you feel like a space of isolation is getting some guidance. So if you feel like maybe you're in a space mentally where you need some more guidance, I would highly suggest you maybe working with a mentor or working with someone that can guide you. One of the biggest things that I help a lot of people in the rebirth program is guiding them through their dark night of the soul and allowing them to go through the cocoon process over 3 months or 6 months. And during this cocoon process, we're understanding what is coming up in the shadow, how to love the shadow that's coming up for us. This is the deep work. This is the real work. And the reason why your soul has chosen to go through the dark night of the soul is because it knows that there's even more eternal light on the other side of that, and to know that the way out is through. It's through understanding that void. It's through the evolution of our third eye, giving us more insight of what we need to see. And another great video that I would really suggest you checking out is how to open your third eye. And it's a great practice also for activating the third eye. So if you feel like you need to really get clarity on insight right now in the space of isolation, I'd highly suggest you checking it out. This will really support you. I can also suggest you checking out the citrine vortex course, which is great for sacral chakra. When we talk about the dark night of the soul, it's all connected to a lot of sacral work. It's connected to you being in the cave of the womb, working and rebirthing yourself. So this might be a great space to support. You can go and check other things as well, but this definitely came up for a reason. So you can go check that out down below. The third sign that you're going through a dark night of the soul and through your spiritual awakening in your process is that emotions are up and down constantly. One moment you're happy, another moment you're depressed, another moment you're angry, another moment you're, feeling all the feels. That is just a sign that your emotions and your being is actually rebalancing. Okay, listen to what are the common ups and downs that you have. You can write that down if that supports you. What are the emotions that you have the most when you're up and when you're down? And notice what is changing in your life right now. What is being asked to come up? Now, the dark night of the soul is bringing up any shadow, any secrecy, any pain, any suffering, anything that doesn't align with your soul's higher self and where you're stepping into. So that means that these emotions that are coming up are emotions that were already there. They're just heightened more because now you have nothing to be attached to. You don't have the friendships that you feel like you have to hold on to because you're scared of being lonely. You don't have the relationship that was connected to a trauma or maybe victimhood or, dependency or avoidance or pain or mother relationships or father relationships. That no longer exists. So now you have to sit and process and experience the emotions of the ups and downs that you feel that were triggered from your household dynamic. Another process as well with the dark night of the soul is feeling the ups and downs of feeling really up, of like the light that you're calling in through this darkness, that you can grieve while you're being happy. You can feel angry while you're being happy. One of the biggest tips I can give you going through the dark night of the soul is that not to isolate emotions and to be only one emotion. You're going to feel all of it. So instead of getting angry at yourself or getting frustrated when one day is great, another day is not, instead have compassion for yourself. How can you radically accept that this tower experience, this awakening you're going through is to support you, that it's never against you, that it's for you to see things more clearly. And when you start to radically, deeply accept, and that's one of the biggest tips I can give people with healing and I share with my clients, is understanding that radical acceptance is the way to healing, is the way to deeply integrating, because the dark night of the soul is integration as well of what is leaving your life, right? It is grieving of what is leaving your life. It is also opening what is coming in. And we may or may not see that. That is the great mystery of the dark night of the soul, right? It is a warrior initiation to where you need to go. And you may or may not be aware of it, but know that this is a guidance that doesn't make logical sense. It only makes sense from the emotional state. So when we're feeling up and down, any emotion that is blocking that awareness is going to come up to teach us something, to allow us to accept and receive it, to understand our emotional intelligence of who we are. And that is the biggest thing that this dark night of the soul can offer to you. The last sign that you're going through the dark night of the soul is that you're feeling a sense of no identity. Now, as we mentioned, it's kind of like a full circle to the beginning of this video. The first one I talked about is a tower moment. So with that, when we're starting to leave a relationship, perhaps leaving a job, perhaps being in the unknown, perhaps being in the waiting room with a lot of things in our life and everything's a standstill, right? And one of the biggest things that's coming up is our identity is being able to be seeded and to be created, right? And if you look at a seed and you put it in your garden, you plant the seed and you put some water on it. That seed is initially going through a dark night of the soul, right? It is not attached to anything. It is literally going into the earth itself. Now, in practicing and healing and somatics and elemental work, I always share with people that the earth is really shadow healing. It's connecting us to the roots. It's connecting us to the shadows of ourselves, if you will. So when we look at our identity, we're going into the void of the darkness of who we were. And now we're in the transition, or some of you may be in the transition of who you are becoming. And that is what I like to call the cocoon state. As I like to share in my rebirth mentoring, is the cocoon state. And that cocoon state is a very powerful journey. It is understanding that instead of focusing on what your purpose is, where are you going, how to step into another alignment or another space in your life, what about asking yourself, may I just not put any pressure of what my identity is becoming, but be curious with the identity that is coming in. It's like meeting someone for the first time. And this brings me to a very powerful journal prompt that I have for you. And I share a lot, and I'm going to give this to you because I feel like this will support you so much. And what that is that how would it feel like to meet your soul right now in this dark night of the soul? How would it feel like to meet your highest self, your future self? What would it feel like? Now, you might not necessarily know exactly what their purpose is and what they're doing and the physical, material perspective of who you are. But in its true and most divinity, what would it feel like? And that's essentially how you welcome the cocoon and step into the metamorphosis of your butterfly, which means that you are able to fully receive, okay, what is the sensation? What are the emotions? And that keeps you going towards the light of what you are calling in, what your soul's initiating you, and what you have called in. So this is a sense of to be nothing is to find out who you are. To be nothing is to be connected to the universal connection of all that is. To be nothing is to allow you to be in the journey and not the completed state of who you are should be. Not the end result. When we go through a trip, right? If you're going on holiday, how many times do you talk about the fact that you got back home and you go from, you know, I got to the airport and then I got on the plane, and then you just tell them, and then I got back to the airport and I got on the plane and I got home. You never talk about being on the plane and then coming to the plane. You don't skip that part of the vacation, right? You don't skip about the part of you getting lost and finally finding your hotel or Airbnb, or, you know, having the great holidays with your friends, or the funny stories you have, or, you know, the mishaps that happen as well. That is what you talk about. So it's understanding the dark night of the soul is initiating your soul that the journey of which you are currently going through is truly the deepest gratitude that you can call in. And this brings me to an extra little tip for you, is that really bringing a gratitude journal during this time for maybe 3 to 10 things that you can be grateful for. And this will really code your subconscious and connect with your soul to get to know, you know, this deeper appreciation of this journey. And when you can do that, you are then allowing yourself that anything else that comes in is an added bonus, right? You are not attaching to the material. And that's essentially, all in all, what the dark night of the soul is. It's stripping you from the physical reality of what you know and allowing you to have a deeper connection to universe, to God, whatever you connect with, and yourself, most importantly. And when you go through that process, and you start to reintegrate the material world and find out who you are again in this realm, then it becomes less about that, but it comes from a space of your heart. And you understand that your worthiness, your significance, and who you are is already there. So this dark night of the soul is essentially peeling back the onion layers of what you thought you were and really getting to, hello, who are you really? And that is the biggest journey that is here. So for us to complete that, we have to know that we are nothing, to receive that we are who we really are, to feel the nothingness, and to feel that void in the abyss, to discover what we are. I hope you guys really enjoyed these 4 signs and how to really understand, like, am I going through the dark night of the soul? If you've made it this far in the video, most likely you are. And let me know if you have any questions about the dark night of the soul and maybe your spiritual awakening. I'd love to do other videos to support you. Some really great things that I will leave for you to support you is definitely the third eye meditation. It's amazing to do. I would highly suggest you also checking out our courses. They're amazing, they're self-learned, and they're recorded workshops that I've been able to create as a course to support you. So we have the throat chakra, that is the lapis, we have also the phoenix for inner child healing, if maybe you're having a lot of dark night of the soul with the inner child, or citrine vortex, which is all sacral, also connected with the root chakra as well. And we even have some Reiki courses as well, of being a Reiki practitioner 1 and 2. So there's a lot there. I'll let you just go and look around, and if you feel called to go more deeper one-on-one and you need more guidance, you can apply down below for my one-on-ones and my plant medicine retreats down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and put notification bells, and share this with anyone that may be going through a dark night of the soul to support them and what they're going through. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and thank you for being through this deep initiation for you and the collective.